Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Earle Farrell for Memphis. Today, we're going to start off with a featured restaurant, my favorite restaurant, and we're going to take you to the Shelby Forest General Store, which is one of my favorite places in the whole world. Of course, my favorite restaurant segment is brought to you by Southern Security Federal Credit Union. It's not a bank, but they do the same thing banks do. They just do it better, and they do it cheaper. And so I want to thank them for stepping up to the plate and being a part of all this because we couldn't do it without them. And now we're going to go to the phone because the Shelby Forest General Store is so far out in the woods you can't get a good cell signal or Wi-Fi there. And so, but with us on the phone is Doug Ammons. He and his wife Kristen run the joint. And good afternoon, Doug. Well, we thank Southern Security Federal Credit Union because they're making it possible. So, and they like working with restaurants. So keep that in mind as you move on with your projects, which we'll be talking about here in just a couple of minutes. We do want to mention the fact that Conji Anderson with Channel 5 is going to do a 5-star repeat show that she did on you back, I guess it was in the summer.
Yeah. Conji is such a sweetheart. She is a consummate professional. What she was able to do, the magic she was able to create with the camera and the editing and her writing, it's just a really, really fantastic story about the store. I can't think of anything that captures the spirit as well as she did. She is a rock star.
Well, Kid Wilshire, who I worked with at Channel 3, WREG News Channel 3 years ago, then he went to work for FedEx and has been in Nashville for years. He did a pretty good job, too, for Tennessee Crossroads. And we're going to take a look at that, and then you'll be able to see Conji's story tonight. But this is Joe Elmore introducing Tennessee Crossroads, another good friend of mine. And then Ken Wilshire takes over. Let's take a look.
If you're planning to go fishing, camping, or just enjoy a weekend getaway, Murphy's Law says that you'll probably leave something behind you need. Well, that's where the good old Country General Store comes in. Ken Wilshire found one of the state's oldest just north of Memphis. In fact, it's a store that's also a local landmark.
You could honestly say it's out in the middle of nowhere, but this has never stopped thousands of visitors every year from finding the Shelby Forest General Store. As its name indicates, it's just down the road from the entrance to one of Tennessee's most visited state parks near Millington. It's not only a landmark for park visitors, you'll find it might just be more than you would think.
So if you're planning on stopping by the Shelby Forest General Store for a moon pie or an RC Cola, well, you sure are missing a lot.
Let me get you a sack. No sack? No sack? Very done. Thank you, ma'am. What's up, Steph?
And I do mean a lot. Just take one short step inside and welcome to some 80 years of history. You can truly experience what an old country store means to this community, as well as getting to know one very special family who's now its caretaker.
There's something magic about this place. There really is.
The new owners are Doug and Kristen Ammons. While you'll find various and sundry goods, it's also stocked full of passion, energy, and spirit. We found Doug behind the old cash register making change and small talk flavored with limericks.
You like football? Here's the quarterback.
But I really believe that everybody has their own version and interpretation of what the innocence of their childhood was. And without meaning to, this store symbolizes yesteryear and stands for, as a beacon of yesteryear, what their innocence and childhood was like.
Young and old will discover it's truly family fun. Kristen takes care of dishwashing, stocking, and just about everything else. While she did let Doug be the spokesperson for our story, she made a cameo appearance, screen left.
I have fun. And sometimes Mama, there she is. Honey, she does it well. she'll try and tone me down a little bit because I get carried away.
30-30, down and dirty. Thank you. 30-30.
And I'm not going to apologize for it. If that's what it takes to survive, it is what it is. But it is fun, and I have too much fun sometimes. She said that had... Hey, you know the old mom and pop? This is true mom and pop. We do the trash, we do it all. Heather does it all too. We couldn't do it without Heather. And our staff.
The cooks and staff are like family as well. Their famous cheeseburgers are huge, and portions of everything else are equally as generous.
They're also going to find a Philly cheesesteak, a fried bologna and cheese, a grilled chicken wrap, French fries, onion rings, jalapeno poppers, fried cheese sticks. It's not heart-healthy food. We're not sitting here beating our chest of the...
That's why we like it. It's not heart-healthy. It tastes good.
When they're standing there looking, give us a call, and we'll do the cooking. How about that? Thank you, Melvin.
It seems music is always on the menu at the General Store, which even has its own ballad. Robert and Joe come by often to entertain and set the mood for dining.
At the Shelby Forest General Store, they got everything you're looking for.
Folks say it's a gathering spot that's been kept alive with family spirit and good old-fashioned customer care. The General Store has been at its present location since 1934.
These are the original worn wooden floors. I wish they could talk. I wish they could be the odometer that could mile by mile tell you what happened.
They recycle their tin can lids by covering holes in the old floor. Actually, the uneven floors add to the store's quaint character.
And just to prove the point that you won't find a level floor in this building, it's...
And you never know who just might drop by, from Justin Timberlake, who grew up in this community, to someone who actually grew up in this old store. She was in the 3rd grade when her parents moved in and opened the store, so it truly is a homecoming to Dixie Wright every time she visits.
We had 2 rooms right back there where the tables are. One was a kitchen. My brother slept on a cot. I slept on the sofa. And there was 1 bed for my mother and father. And that's where we stayed. And probably stayed there about 4 or 5 years and then built the house across the street. And that was such a joy to have a house.
While the store was Dixie's home for years, now it's like home to Doug, Kristen, and their family.
And that's a privilege. And people say, yeah, but man, y'all work a lot of hours. It's not work. It's not work. I say every day, I'm the luckiest guy alive because I'm right here in heaven without the funeral.
But even more meaningful, you'll feel right at home as well after stepping back in time and experiencing genuine community spirit at the Shelby Forest General Store.
All we have done is preserved it and try and make it available today. The past is our present to you. You know, that's our saying.
Great job, Ken Wilshire. And I think he did a fabulous job, and you look great. The place looked great. But I think it shows what it was like, which has got to be, when you see something like that, Doug, it's got to make you kind of go, man, I forgot how good it was back then.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever forget, but there's no question. It's certainly bittersweet. It's not the same in many ways, but in many other ways, it's exactly the same. I mean, we've just had to modify. Jackie Welch says that innovation is not just looking ahead; it's looking ahead and around the corner. And now, through no fault of our own, we can't use our dining rooms, and I get that, and that's fine. And we can either evolve and innovate and modify, or we can quit. And quitting is not an option. So we can't eat inside; we'll eat outside. You know that 10 months ago we had two picnic tables out there. Now got 10, and we are just evolving and developing and converting part of our more than ample parking lot into more outside seating. And that's just the reality of it. Steak night is gone. The dining rooms are gone. The musicians are gone. The ability to sit in there at the counter on those black bar stools are gone. But we're still here, and we're still kicking. And, we got a pep in the step and a glide in our stride, and we are all about doing whatever's necessary to continue to maintain our privilege and honor of sharing this authentic, honest beacon of yesteryear with all who come in for, man, and it's just a privilege. I can't stress it enough.
I think Ken brought up a very good point. It does. When I go in there, I love it because it feels so homey. It's so much like places I used to go to when I was a kid, and he brought that out, that for those of us who, didn't grow up with shiny stainless steel, lots of glass, the modern stores, those were the only kind of stores out there, were mom and pop operations. And
That's exactly right.
Everybody had their own culture, the way they handled their customers, and they had a very personal relationship, just like you do with each and every one of your customers. And it's as much fun to go in there and be around y'all as it is to go in there and get the great food that you make there.
Well, thank you. There's no question. There is to quote Francis Mulcahy from one of the greatest TV shows ever, MASH, jocularity. There is no lack of frivolity in there. There's always cutting up and kidding around, and if you don't have a sense of humor, we're probably not somewhere you ought to come by. It's more fun than should be allowed by law, and we make it fun on purpose because our experience has been, so many are suffering from so many variables beyond their control, and when they step through those glass doors, they just want to put all that drama in the rearview mirror. They want to just bask in the store's spirit and magic. It's kind of like having your granddaddy in a flannel shirt, and you smell his aftershave, and he's just giving you a big hug and holding you tight in his arms, and he's sitting there telling you, you know what, everything's going to be okay. And it's restorative, and it's comforting, and people are just, they drop into granny gear and downshift a little bit and slow down and get off of that dadgum hamster wheel and take your watch off and unplug the phone and just kind of welcome to the way life used to be, and welcome to off the grid, and park all your stress over there because it ain't welcome in here,
Well, I know you've always had a lot of people that came to the state park. You had the school right across the street. School's closed. The state park is closed, along with all of them, I guess, still. And but you still have a lot of bike riders who ride on Joe Royer and all these different biking groups make it a trip to the Shelby Forest General Store, go in there, replenish their energy, and get hydrated again and pedal on. And but other folks too.
Before I jump into the pedaling on, I want to back up though. The school is not closed, and the park is not closed anymore. I mean, they're doing virtual in the school, and the park reopened. It actually shut down. Kind of went on an honor system in May, and that got abused, and so they padlocked it, and everything was off limits. And then gradually, later on in May, now all the festivals, the Spring Festival was canceled, the Bluegrass Festival was canceled, and then again in the fall. And it's unfortunate, but as long as people are observing the appropriate spacing and giving each other a little bit of room and not smothering one another, the park's wide open. And interestingly that you bring that up, I have to share this with you because Joe Royer and I were talking about it this morning as well. And I mean, late winter, early spring, we're about 6 weeks away from the dogwoods starting to bust out and the forsythia popping out. And it's so colorful. And the beautiful thing about it is, Memphis is known as the Bluff City, and it's because of the four bluffs. And we're right here on the third of the Chickasaw Bluff. And actually, this part of Shelby County, whereas most of West Tennessee is just kind of boring flatlands, we are almost 500 feet above sea level here.
Wow.
And as a crow flies, I'm about a mile and a half, just over a mile and a half from the Mississippi River, which is sea level. So what that out of the year are totally covered up with the canopy and the foliage of the forest.
Yeah.
But this time of year, you can see deep, deep, deep into the woods. You can see all the way down, and people come to the store and go, "Oh my God, I thought I was in the Great Smoky Mountain National Forest." I mean, it's amazing the drops that are out here.
Yeah.
And One-Way Road, just on the other side of the campground, features every bit of that. Listen, bobcat, deer, wild turkey, fox, big old deer, big 12-point jumped in front of me a couple weeks ago. I mean, everything this park has to offer, I have seen on that little 2-mile stretch of One-Way Road that opens up just on the other side of the campgrounds. And there's no oncoming traffic. The road is maybe 8 feet wide. You have it totally to yourself, and it is drop dead gorgeous. And more so than the exotic cars, and more so than the hikers and the runners, the cyclists have come out here and they have had a field day with this verticality. And Joe and Outdoors Inc. and Clark Butcher over at Victory and Mel Clark at Bike the World, the Hightailers, Tulio and Frank Pitts, and all these different bike teams that come out, and it's just so wonderful having this segment of I mean, you got 500,000 people 15, 20 minutes away. There's nowhere else in North America where you've got over 13,000 acres of canopied hardwood forest bordered by the Mississippi River, 15 minutes away from 500,000 people.
Well,
And Graceland and the Civil Rights Museum and Memphis tourism, there's so many things happening that bring, like year before last, almost 12 million tourists to Shelby County. Not so much last year, as we all know.
Yeah.
Last year was last year, but now 2020, it's all done. Let's have a great 2021. And I cannot give a large enough shout out to Leah Gaffney over at Memphis Tourism. And like I said, Joe Royer with Outdoors Inc. and Frank and Tulio at the Hightailers, Clark Butcher at Victory, and Mel Clark. I mean, all these guys, they're so supportive, and the love and the support that they show for the store while they're out here recreating is just phenomenal. And the deer hunters and the duck hunters and the disc golfers, the church groups, the scout troops, the family reunions. I mean, this is a fairyland playground for outdoor recreational enjoyment. And so many of those folks are making and including a few minutes at the store with or without a wallet. You know, you don't have to come in and spend money. Just come and bask in the restorative, comforting glory of yesteryear that the store offers free of charge. If you've got an appetite, you bet we'll be happy to make you that world famous Justin Timberlake cheeseburger. It's $3.99. And we got grilled turkey melts, grilled chicken salads. I mean, and thank God for the Mennonites over there in Whiteville, Tennessee. Now, they stepped in to partner with us to try and offset the missing revenue that No More Steak Night. And Steak Night was huge.
Yeah,
Thanks to Charlie's Meat Market, 10-ounce grade A select, hand-carved ribeye, fresh, never frozen, and all the fixing in the bluegrass, and it was wonderful. Over 40,000 steaks in almost 17 years. It was an epic, once-a-week community event, and that's all gone. But you know what? We can sit around and wallow and whine and hold our hats and duck our heads over what used to be and is no more, or we can work the problem and we can carve out a brave new world, Aldous Huxley, and make do with what we've got and be dadgum grateful and dadgum thankful that we're still in the game. Because, you know, Abraham Lincoln said most people are about as happy as they make up their mind to be. And you know what? We're tickled pink.
Well,
We're glad to be alive. We're glad to still have the store. We're still having the privilege and the opportunity to share her with all who come and pass through. And the forest is unbelievable.
Well, Doug.
Thank you, Ken Wilshire, too, man. Big time.
Yeah. We got to go. So quickly tell me the hours that you are open now and when people can come in, and then tell us about you set up a GoFundMe fund.
11 to 2, Monday through Thursday. 11 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's lunchtime only. No breakfast. 11 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Carry out. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. We shut the grill off half an hour early so that it cools down before we got Shonda Pierce with the Mike Huckabee Show, Tim Wilshire's Tennessee Crossroads, Southern Roots. There's all sorts of magazine articles. There's also a GoFundMe page link there. Please check that out.
Okay.
We're staring down the barrel of a very cold winter with outdoor seating, and we're trying to raise the funds necessary. You know, we've got a blue blood idea with the architect and blueprints, but we've got a blue collar budget, and we're just trying to come up with the dollars to create that outdoor dining theater for all to enjoy and continue on forward into the future.
Okay.
It's not about weathering the storm, it's about learning to dance in the rain.
I got you. And once you can find it at the Shelby Forest General Store on their webpage. And check them out. Then check out Channel 5 tonight for Conji Anthony's special 5-star report. And check that out. Doug, thank you very much for coming on with us. Good luck to you. And I'll be out to see you get a cheeseburger soon.
Earl, thank you so much. God bless you, and thank everybody out there.
You bet. And hey, good luck to you, and hang in there, and everybody find out how to contribute and do so, because I promise you they're good folks, and they deserve a break. Thank you, Doug.
Earl, we need your help.
Yes, sir. Thank you.